Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome back to the Expansion Pack podcast, where we download this week's gaming news and we bring it straight to you. We are on episode 84. 84, what am I saying? 87, guys. 87.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit here. We did miss you guys last week. We had a little bit of a scheduling issue here, so we couldn't get an episode out to you last week. But of course, we're here now. Of course, like I said, I'm your host, Danzel, aka Black Ice, joined by my co-host mostly each and every week. Start off with my guy, Goopmaster Flex, over to my right. What's going on, bro?
You already know. I'm just chilling. I'm on the IR right now, but we still here to talk about games.
Man, so he on the IR?
I'm on the IR, yeah.
Oh, man. We are never talking about that on this podcast. So
we can't talk about it here, but
we're not talking about it here. But yeah, prayers up for my guy Manny. We're taking a knee for my boy.
I got a Purple Heart award, No?
My guy went to the trenches.
Yo. Wow. I'm gonna let y'all know I don't know what the fuck they talking about, so I'm not co-signing or not co-signing any of this. I don't know what's happening.
If you knew what was happening, you would definitely say he's getting a purple heart for sure.
Yeah.
All right, but that's okay. That's all right. Manny, he's doing his thing. He's holding strong. F's in the chat for Manny. Of course, we got my guy down low though.
Yeah.
Mr. 525. What's going on, May 25th? How you doing?
Chilling, man, chilling. I haven't been able to play too much and stuff, but Tunic, shit's fire. I'm liking that shit.
Yeah.
Real for real. Man, tell you, that shit had me lost the other day.
Are you streaming it or are you just playing it straight up?
Well, I just played it straight up because it was like real late one night, and I was like, fuck it, let me play something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I put it in like I put the disc in. Oh, no, I didn't do that. I turned it on for a little bit. Yeah, man, I remember like the first 40 minutes of the game, I was like, yo, I am about to turn this shit off. Because the game is like, it's not what it seems like it is on the surface. Like it doesn't, there's no hand holding in that game. You got to figure that shit out. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, this is different. Okay, this is all right. They don't really give you no real direction, no nothing. You just got to get it in.
Figure it out.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right. Yeah, I actually thought of that. I was like, is this like chibi version of fucking Elden Ring? What the fuck is this? This is weird. Because it's actually kind of hard even in the beginning. Pause. Because, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what to do. And then you just running up on random dudes. And some of these dudes, you know what I'm saying? They smack me. I ain't going to hold you. They smack me. And you drop your monies just like you do in Elden Ring. There is some correlation. There's some correlation for sure.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tunic is definitely like Elden Ring light.
Loving it.
But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. So good to hear. Speaking of Elden Ring though, randomly I hopped back on it last night. Just trying to help out a couple of the people, Danny and Danny get through some bosses, and man, I missed that game. There's no other way to put it. I missed that game. I just need some new content to play. I mean, I've literally like explored every fucking nook and cranny of that world, which is weird because I don't do that with most games. But I don't know. I'm hoping we get some.
Is DLC planned? Was that like coming?
There's definitely DLC. Well, new content supposedly. There's been I remember heard like reports of just like new Elden Ring content, whether that's another game or DLC, but I guess time will tell.
I think there's a track record for for whatever reason the studio From Software releasing expansions or downloadable content for their games. So I mean, and this is obviously the biggest game of the year so far. So it would be a shock if they didn't have something at some point in time. But yeah, I mean, I'm holding out hope. I hope it's coming. But enough about that, guys. Let's get into the stuff we normally get into. Start off with Chris.
The buffer for this week though is a real quick one. What's a game that they made a bad decision? Maybe you want to say maybe a third of the way into the game, maybe halfway through the game, that like completely just turned you off and made you just like, damn. this was kind of decent until they fucked it up. What game is that for you guys? For me, my answer is actually a quite recent game. I'm gonna have to go Outriders, yo. When I first started the game and I saw what the premise of the game was, I said, okay, there could be some legs to this. This is okay. I could kind of, if they do the story right, I might be able to forgive them for certain shit. Then you play a little bit more into the game, and I always liked the gameplay. The gameplay itself was great, but oof, the story, my goodness, maybe about 40% of the way through the game, it just really they just nosedove, bro. And it's just like they just leaned into the nosedive, you know? They kept on going. And oh man, it's just not a good rest of the way. Not a good rest of the way. It didn't make a lot of sense to me at all. If I have to give a close runner-up, I'm also gonna throw this out there. I know this is a hot take. I love the Monster Hunter games, like the actual gameplay, going out and hunting the monsters and all that shit.
Yeah.
But the second I actually dug myself into that story too, that shit horrible. It's fucking horrible. Horrible. It makes no sense. I'm like, dog, I know some of these JRPGs be tripping, but yo, this shit don't make no sense. So I'm gonna throw that in there as an honorable mention because Jesus Christ. Not good. Not good, bro. Not good. Toss that off to y'all. That's my answer.
Okay. Mini.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me personally, it's like The Last of Us 2, I think, kind of messed up with killing a hard spoiler. All right? It's been 2 years since the game released.
Oh. You might want to give it a couple more seconds. Let it breathe for a second. Just in case. Let the stragglers leave.
All right.
Give it a solid 5.
Spoiler alert. You know what I'm saying? If you haven't played it, skip the next 5 minutes and, you know what I'm saying, continue with the show.
Yeah, I ain't even played it, but I'm going to let you go ahead and do it.
Just for the sheer shock value. Like, that was the last game I was expecting to be in this conversation.
Yeah, I didn't think that was coming either.
I think what messed it up for me personally, and I get it, it's supposed to tone up in the story. The spoiler already happened, so everybody here is ready to hear what they're supposed to hear. I'm sorry, Chris, I know you ain't played the game, but I would say when they just killed off Joel early. And I feel like, me personally, that I'm not gonna say that ruined the story because I understand, it plays out as a nice revenge story. But then it's after you get to a certain point, it switched to another character that you don't care about. If anything, you hate because the fucking person that you play as, midway through the game, is the bitch that fucking killed Joel. So
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I don't care about her. I want to kill her.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, I mean, you're in your feelings right now, though, so it kind of did what it was supposed to do.
Exactly. That's the whole point. It's supposed to make you tight.
You're big mad about it. You can tell, bro.
I don't want to play as Abby. Get the fuck out of here with that fucking cringy ass, one scene I'm not going to say, but, come on, man. I feel like maybe half Joel, half Ellie. The good game, solid game, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that within the first hour of the game you just kill them off so fast, well, fuck you, I guess, because we just been through a whole ride, and I guess this ride just ended.
But that's what made the game a masterpiece, though, because it was it hurt, bro. It hurt. There's no other way to put it. It hurt. It hurt.
I felt I don't know. I felt like the story dragged with Abby because you play with her. And, you get to the part where you kill fucking Joe, whatever. You fucking play with her. You find Ellie, this, that, and the third. I don't know. I just feel
I definitely feel you on it dragging with Abby, but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that the problem to me isn't that they killed Joel. The problem is the way they handled telling Abby's story, in my opinion. Some of the ways it dragged. Because Joel dying was the emotional set piece of the whole thing, right? Everything that happened from that point forward was obviously everyone's motivations were tied around Joel dying. The way that the group that they were with handled it all, the fact that Ellie left and like went to do whatever she did. Like I don't know, and then even some of the tonal pieces where like she's playing the guitar and like it's reminding her of when Joel like taught her to play the guitar, and it's like damn, like this shit's like a tearjerker. Like you over here playing post-apocalyptic game out here like shedding tears and shit. Like that was what made that story a masterpiece, though. Like the actual storytelling. So
I know what you mean. Like like the little flashbacks though, like hit the heart a little, but I think. Maybe I'm just like not liking the whole Abby part. Like if they cut that out, like I'm fine with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I get it. You're basically like playing as Abby because you're going through her pain, trying to see both sides of the story. But like in the end, like I played a whole game with Ellie and Joel together, and then like you're gonna just fucking throw Abby halfway through the game. Like, nah, get the fuck out of here. But
oh man, it really did its job, man. Because it really hit you, bro. That's funny.
Like, I mean, it's a good game. Obviously, I enjoyed my playthrough, but fuck Abby.
Exactly. Yes. Oh man, no, that's. I gotta say, I really was not expecting you to bring that one up, but I understand now that you've explained it.
I'll say like. All right, maybe Joe could die early, but like I said, the Abby part just can't it. Like I don't know. I could do it out.
Totally get that. For mine, honestly, I really couldn't think of anything too deep. It's kind of gonna be a cop out, I guess. But Dying Light 2, played that earlier this year. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't care about it. I just didn't care about it at all. There was no specific point that I hit where I was like, yeah, this is ruining it for me. But the overarching thing that came to mind was that there were certain. Actually, you know what? No, that's a lie. There was a point that I just stopped giving a fuck. There's a point where, how do I explain this properly? You meet like what is ultimately like the big bad, I guess, and he like chases you through this area, and it kind of just gets you to a completely different portion of the game. You meet up with a particular character. I guess, I mean, I don't know, I've spoiled at this point, but you meet up with Rosario Dawson's character as a result of all these things happening. And I don't know, like, I feel like after that point in time, there were just a lot of cutscenes after that I just didn't care about, and none of them were skippable. So it just made it way more painful than it needed to be. And I know this is something that's come up amongst some of our friends around, like, whether the game is good or not, and like the unskippable cutscenes and how bad the cutscenes were. But like for me, it really diminished how much I enjoyed the game, and like kind of, I guess, subsequently was the result of me, or ended up being that I stopped playing it. Obviously, like Sifu and Elden Ring were also adding to the fact that I didn't want to finish it because those games are so much better. But yeah, I don't know. Like the way that story was presented, especially with the cutscenes being as bland as they were, it kind of killed it for me. There were like maybe one or two moments I can think of in the game, at least the early game that I played. I was like, oh man, this is like interesting as far as story goes. Like there's one moment in particular around like there's like a dad that lives in the town with his son, and like they're like creators or builders, I guess you could say. And the dad's not, like, the dad has some sort of problem, like he can't speak properly, like he has like not a speech impediment necessarily, but like he kind of, I don't know, people don't respect him because he has issues, right? So the son has to kind of look after him and so on and so forth. And there's like a moment in the game where he kind of like gives himself, like sacrifices himself for the greater good of everybody else. And like, it was like this is a great moment for a game, right? This is cool, like kind of a tearjerker in a sense. And it wasn't even a part of the main story. It was just like a thing that was happening. And I feel like the rest of the game didn't hit any of those notes for me, like at any point in time. And I'll admit that I didn't finish it, so I don't know if it eventually gets back to that. But for me to be like barely like a third of the way through the game and just want to be like, all right, I'm good. To me, it's like story wise, you're definitely lacking. So
yeah, that game, the story didn't hit for me, and that's why I put it down so early. I feel like that game should have released in December. They just didn't release in a good time.
Yeah, well, it was supposed to, right? Supposed to release that December.
Yeah, it was supposed to, but then they had to push it back for some bug issues and stuff like that, which we saw in the launch. So
yeah, big time. Although they did release like this big update that's supposed to fix most of those bugs, so kind of tempted to go back at some point because they also have like a big content drop that's happening soon as well, like a whole new story and all that stuff. I might revisit because I own the game, but yeah, I don't know. The story didn't do for me.
It was mid.
It was mid as fuck. Mid as fuck. All right, but yeah, Chris, thank you for that icebreaker. Let's get into the main stories.
Offer.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. My fault. Sorry, it's getting a little cold here, so I'm thinking of the, you know.
It is getting chilly.
The buffer. My fault. But yeah, we do have just 2 main stories to get into this week. Nothing too crazy here. You know, it's kind of dwindling down. We're getting into the season of the game releases, so gonna get a little bit more reviews and previews and whatnot. Not as much news, but you know, who knows. But yeah, first things first, we're getting some rumors coming out about Sony and their bullshit again. Supposedly, we're gonna be getting a. You know what? I'll read it directly from the article here because let's frame it a little bit better here. But this article is from MP First or Multiplayer First, and they basically talk about the fact that we should be getting a Horizon Zero Dawn remake / remaster coming very soon, a la in the same vein as like The Last of Us Part 1. It just bothers me that I'm even saying this because I feel like this is like history repeating itself, right? I want to say what back in February or something along those lines, we were seeing rumors that The Last of Us Part 2 game was supposed to be, Last of Us Part 1 remake was supposed to be happening, and I think we all got up on here and we were like, why? This is unnecessary. We don't need this. The game isn't that old. Now, fast forward to this shit. This game is even newer than The Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
Like, Manny, I'm gonna defer to you on this one, but when did the original Horizon come out?
I feel like it came out like 2017, honestly, which is not even that far away if you put into perspective. Yeah, 2017. So, like, honestly, to see this be even a rumor kind of sad. It's like, there's too many cash grabs, man. I don't get it. The game's too new. It's not like The Last of Us Part 1. We can kind of give like a little break. It was 10 years old. Made on the PlayStation 3, a little outdated. But this right here, like, even playing it on the PS5 looks pretty solid. I don't understand why they would like resort back to this.
This shit's crazy to me. This shit is crazy.
I'm gonna put it like this: PlayStation. If they're gonna, if this is the generation of remakes, then PlayStation's taking a big L because there's nothing new except for what God of War, Spider-Man, whatever. Yeah, but like Guerrilla Games itself has the Killzone IP. They killed Shadowfall in August, shutting down the servers. So you got nothing here now. Make a new Killzone. You know, even if it's riding the whole Battle Royale wave, fucking do it. Drop it. It'll be a much better game than a Horizon Zero Dawn remake, which came out only 5 years ago, honestly. Like, I don't know if it's like these studios are just getting lazy or Sony is just playing the safe way and just telling them like, yo, we do these games that were good before. But in my opinion, it's just going to hurt them more than benefit them.
Yeah, I feel like people are looking at this and kind of being like, again, this is a rumor. So I want to preface by saying that. But if this rumor turns out to be true, it's just like people are going to be jaded. It's like, okay, you know, Last of Us Part 1, that remake dropped. Everybody was like, is this really like justify $70? No. You know, it's I don't know, man. Like they keep coming out with these types of things. Like what they had that Uncharted, what was it, like the Legacy Collection, Lost Legacy Collection or something like that. That came out this past year. You know, we already talked about Last of Us. Like if this thing becomes true, it's just another thing. And it's like, okay, you're charging $70 full for this shit. You know, it's like you're not even tying it into PlayStation Plus Extra or Premium plan. Like you have that for people to go back and play older games, right? You know, like if you're gonna do that type of stuff, add value to your subscription and say, all right, we're gonna do this, and we'll also allow people to buy it for $70 if they want to. But if we put it in PlayStation Plus, it takes the edge off a little bit for some people, right? Because it bolsters your subscription service. It's still not a great use of resources, in my opinion, but just a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they would resort back to Zero Dawn, because the game did recently release 5 years ago in 2017. Even if it isn't Killzone that they want to work on, there's plenty of other IPs that Sony owns that they can just take a hit with. Like, for example, we can go back to SOCOM. We haven't had a SOCOM in a while. Talk about a Call of Duty competitor, since they keep crying over Activision and Microsoft scandal, all that kind of thing. You keep crying about it, make your own competitor. It may not be as good, but Microsoft had Halo. That's their first-person shooter that everybody loves and plays. Maybe not recently, but still, that's a whole different breed. Take your IPs and make them your own. Like they're just stuck on making these action adventure games that are like, don't get me wrong, they're amazing, but if it got you to the point where you got to remake ones from 5 years ago, whatever, then it's just gonna ruin your brand, and it's not good. It's not a good look, in my opinion. I just feel like if this is true, I mean, it's all rumors and speculation. At the end of the day, if this is true, then I'm just slowly losing respect for Sony.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I do think that this has been brought up a couple different times, but there is a rumor that they are making a TV show based on Horizon for Netflix in particular. I'm just saying, clearly the Last of Us thing happened, and it seems to be coinciding with the HBO show. So I would have to say, that's probably why this thing is happening for Horizon. And I'm sure Sony will find some other, TV show or some other IP to make a TV show off of, and then remaster that. So there seems to be some sort of a pattern here. It's an annoying pattern, but a pattern nonetheless. Now, take away all the negative shit for a second, right? Horizon Forbidden West is a beautiful ass game. If you're going to tell me that you're going to remake this or remaster this using the same engine, I don't know. I mean, it's pretty nice. Could look pretty nice. Not worth my $70, but could look very nice. Very beautiful game to play. I just wish it was in the PlayStation Plus thing. That's really all it boils down to for me, man. It's just disappointing. Disappointing to see.
The Last of Us remake should have been in the PlayStation Plus thing. Like, easy. That's easy marketing for your subscription brand that you're trying to use, and you're wasting opportunities because you want to be greedy and cocky and be like, oh, our quality of games doesn't deserve to be put on a platform like that.
What's the thing they were saying? Premium first, and then they'll put the older games on the platform after the fact, but the premium games are games that they're going to sell to you at $70. And it's just dumb because you're spending all this time and energy on shitting on Microsoft about acquiring Activision, and because they're going to put all their games in Game Pass, and you're actively trying to get games off of Game Pass. Literally all you need to do is just compete and just build up your own service. But instead, y'all want to make more money, with the 70. I'm not going to knock them for trying to make more money, right? But when we're talking about competing, that's the whole point of these businesses and capitalism and, all this stuff. You want to fight for the consumer's dollar. You're not adding any value by just remaking a game and, selling to somebody for $70. I'm so curious what The Last of Us did for numbers. I would have to imagine that they learned their lesson, right? There's no way people were buying The Last of Us Part 1, that remake, hand over fist. There's no way. I heard barely anything about it outside of this is the definitive way to play it, but it's not like everybody's rushing out to go buy it. It's we want the new shit. Oh,
I agree.
And like it's also funny. Actually, I don't want to get too deep into it, but like there's another thing that I've seen like certain PlayStation gamers kind of talk shit about, as far as like Xbox and other platforms. It's like, oh, we like to other platforms like to focus on backwards compatibility and this, that, and the other, and we're moving forward. We're making new games. We're doing this, and it's like, well, clearly you're not. Like you're not supporting backwards compatibility. You're literally just remaking games and charging people $70 for it. Yikes! Like it's indefensible if this is a real thing. Like they need to really add value if they're gonna remake this. Obviously, use the new engine. It should look a lot better, but got to add something else to it. Like there's a rumor that they're working on a multiplayer mode. Whether it's tied to this remake or remaster is one thing, but if it is, that's one of those things that like, okay, this might make sense. This might be more worth the $70. But if it's just the base game on its own, like, and you're gonna charge people that price, doesn't feel good. Feels weird. Feels icky. But alas, we'll wait to see what Sony's got going on next. I'm losing a lot of faith in Sony this year in particular. Because like what? I mean, the God of War is going to be great, right? But outside of that, there's no showcase, right? We didn't get any news on anything else. Any major news, I should say, coming out of Sony this year at all. Like I think they talked about the PlayStation VR might be coming this year, but like nothing, no news on Spider-Man 2, no news on Wolverine. No new announcements that, really blew people away. No like E3 type of event. No, none of that present. So I don't know.
Yeah, should we be scared? Like is everything gonna be pushed back because they got nothing to show? We haven't got a showcase like you said. Usually it's around September. Maybe they're just in a chaotic frenzy right now of they have nothing, so they got to make these remakes to make sales.
And rain on Microsoft's parade trying to buy shit.
No.
But Chris, what do you think, man? What's your take on it all?
I pretty much echo everything you guys are saying. I think it's a weird decision. I definitely agree with Manny saying that they got a lot of different shit that they could remake. I don't understand why they're so caught up on the action RPG thing either. It's weird. I don't know, they're really good at making them, but like I am floored that they have not gone back to Jak and Daxter. If there was one game from way back that I thought that they would have brought back for like the modern day, it would have been that. How y'all just letting that shit just rock? I can understand maybe some of the older shit, but there is money to be made with Jak and Daxter if you revive that franchise. So I'm floored by that. Yeah, I don't understand the decision. I feel like if you guys were doing some shit with the TV show, and this was like your plan to get people invested in said TV show, there's 1,000,001 other ways that you guys could have went about it. Hell, we was talking about it before we pressed record, how Cyberpunk did the whole anime thing on Netflix, and the anime literally caused people to want to go get it on Steam, and it boosted the numbers crazy. So there is definitely ways they could have went about it. They could have even said, and I don't know if I've seen this before, but they could have been like, yo, if you watch, at least the first episode of the show on Netflix, we'll throw you this vanity item or this crazy rare costume or some bullshit that you can't get in game unless you do this. That's a way to do it. And that saves way more money and resources. That to me is way better. And there's a lot of people out there who I care about drip, but not so hard where I go into crazy shit like that. Or not crazy shit, but put an effort like that. But there's a lot of people who will. A lot of people who will be able to say, oh, I got the Netflix thing though. How you get that? Oh, you gotta go watch that shit on Netflix. That's different and it's creative. And things like that I think is what they should have been trying to do if that was what their goal was, to garner interest in this new show or whatever the case is. But they could have did 1,000,001 other things for this. They could have used this money in better ways. And then the fact that it's $70 and y'all not even throwing it on y'all own subscription service and shit. Yo, there's a couple L's around the table, bro. I gotta keep it on it, man. That ain't it. I don't see any really good moves here. This ain't it. That game is still, the first game is more beautiful than games that still are coming out new this year. And that's the first game. The second game is already gorgeous, but the first game still looks really, really good. So, yeah, a lot of L's.
we'll keep our eye on this one. I mean, again, it is a rumor, but I feel like we were just here not too long ago saying the same thing about Last of Us, and sure enough, it ended up being a real thing. So I'm sure this is also a very real thing. But we are going to pivot over to our final topic here. A bit of a sad day for those who those who care.
26 of y'all.
Those who care. Oh man, Google.
I'm sorry.
Google's finally doing the thing that we expected them to be doing for a while now, and I'm not. I take no joy in this necessarily. It's just interesting because it's lived such a weird life. But Stadia is finally dying as a platform, and Google went ahead and released a whole blog post. I want to say it was last week. So Phil Harrison in particular, I think was the one who. Yep. So I'll just read off a little blurb here. So a few years ago, we launched a consumer gaming platform or consumer gaming service, Stadia. And while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technology foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. So we've made the difficult decision to begin winding down our Stadia streaming service. Oh man, I mean, yeah, it hasn't gained the traction. That's an understatement for sure. Definitely an understatement. I mean, it's sad though. It's sad. It's very interesting. You know, Google again has a track record for definitely leaving certain products behind, not putting the full effort in, and sometimes they just they just don't get things going the way they should. And it's very clear that Stadia isn't even close to being one of those things. There's nothing that inherently differentiates Stadia from even Amazon's Luna thing, and obviously, Xbox's thing. There's nothing that differentiates it. Even Nvidia's GeForce Now streaming platform, all those things are pretty good, and there are different reasons why you might want to use one over the other. Google had opportunities to leverage what they have, which is YouTube and Android and so on and so forth. They had their opportunities to leverage all those things to make something better than at least some of those other streaming services that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it just never came to fruition, right? They abandoned their the internal studios that they were building up. I think Jade Raymond was one of the people who was building up a studio for them and whatnot. They abandoned all those efforts. They said they were shuttering all the internal game development stuff. They didn't really seem to get a lot of traction around other third-party developers building anything exclusively for Stadia. None of it ever really seemed to come together the way it needed to, and therefore, we're here. We're right where we kind of all thought it was going to be. I know I in particular, when this first came out, I was pretty excited about it. I was like, okay, this is something that Google could do. It's kind of cool. xCloud wasn't really a thing that was talked about a lot. I think Microsoft really conceptualized the whole cloud gaming stuff. They talked about it a lot, but they never really had anything to show for it. Stadia was kind of the first one that really, independent of Gaikai and On Live, I think was the other one that PlayStation went ahead and bought. This was kind of one of the first ones that we could see a product, and I was able to test it out not too long after it got announced and all that stuff, and it was cool, man. But yeah, they just didn't have the pedigree to flesh it out and do the things they needed to do with it. Now, with that being said, one of the things I found very fascinating about this whole thing is that they're literally issuing full refunds for everything. So all the hardware purchases, all the software purchases, any DLC, anyone who bought any of that stuff, they're getting their money back because they're closing down the servers and all that stuff. So essentially that conversation around whether going digital or going all streaming makes a lot of sense because you don't actually own anything. So when those platforms shut down, you essentially lose everything that you have. This is kind of one of those situations where Google's actually doing right by people, but to say, all right, we're going to give you back full refunds on these games that you bought. Now, The only other problem is game progress is starting to be a thing, right? I know that Bungie is looking into how they can have people seamlessly transfer over their game progress and Destiny over to other platforms. Now that's pretty easy because they already have a cross save system in place. But there's some other platforms or some other games, I should say, like I think IO Interactive, people who make Hitman. They're saying that they're having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how they're going to go forward with this, but they are working on trying to get gamers' data and save files transferred over to whatever other platform they want to go to. So I find it's an interesting problem that's being created here, and I think I don't know. It could, depending on how it gets handled, it can either instill confidence in the whole cloud streaming platform thing or really kill it if it's not done right. So I'm really curious to see how this is all going to be handled, and if other players who have a vested interest in this are going to find a way to help out with this stuff, right? Whether it's Microsoft, whether it's NVIDIA, or whomever it may be, because you obviously want to make sure that the integrity of cloud gaming as a concept is still held together even after you're seeing a platform like this close down. So I don't know. A lot of thoughts around this, but I definitely want to go around the room and get each of your takes on this. So Chris, I know, we've been pretty skeptical here about Stadia and whether it's going to go anywhere or do anything. But, what do you think about this news? You surprised to see that they're giving money back? I mean, that's a big one that came to me.
That part is actually huge because normally most companies wouldn't go that far. Like to give you all your money back for every purchase you've made Stadia related. That is... I think that's I don't know. I guess that's like a good show of confidence from Google, where like even though like they tried something with this product and it didn't work out, they don't want you to give up on their ecosystem entirely. So they're gonna be like, you know what? One, we don't need it like that. We got it, Brent. But two, don't feel like we're trying to steal from you. You know what I'm saying? Some of these companies can make you feel like that's what they're doing. Google said, nah, bro, you part of the family. Take your money back, pimp. Well, we got the next thing. You bring that money back over here. But for now, take your shit back. We ain't going to take it from you. And I'm telling you, man, that's just not a regular business practice. But, I mean, I don't know if that's a flex that says it's Google just out here with the big bread like that. But either way, it's cool to see. Yeah, we kind of all knew this was coming, You hit the nail right on the head. This was one of those situations where Google completely gave little effort in terms of marketing. I think when they first started was actually really good. When they first came out with Stadia, there was ads everywhere, YouTube ads, commercials. You saw it everywhere. So like they had an initial good push, and then after the first like 2 months or whatever, I want to say, like it just kind of fizzled out. And then the idea that they just literally weren't coming up with any of their own types of games, they weren't getting any kind of exclusivity anywhere. There was no reason for anybody to want to go buy a Stadia. Like, why? You got all these other game systems. With Xbox and PlayStation, you got the exclusive games on both systems and just the ecosystem. With the Switch, you got the portability. You got the Steam Deck portability. Plus, you got a computer in your pocket. There's like a niche for almost every one of these consoles. Was Stadia supposed to be just like, oh, we're the streaming thing, I guess? And that was like our thing that we were going to lean on? Because even Amazon had, what was the name of that game? The RPG? That kind of made a little bit of noise for a little bit.
I know what you're talking about.
New Age or some shit. I think it's New World. There you go. Even they had that, and I'm just like, Stadia, I don't know if they really, really gave that a good effort, man. It really doesn't feel like they did.
Yeah.
Sad, I guess you could say. But I something also tells me this is not like their end of them trying to step into gaming. I kind of look at this almost in a sense like you remember when the Pixels were kind of doing their thing and it was cool, and then it kind of seemed like for a second like I don't know if Pixels gonna come back, and now Pixels are back, but like they're better than ever type of thing. I don't think this is the last time we see Google try something. I just think that they're going to try a different angle.
The only thing I say I wouldn't compare it to this is Android is something that factors into Google's core business model, which is advertising at the end of the day, right? And so Google search, advertising, Google Assistant, right? Pixel is the gateway to get you through all of those things as efficiently as possible for Google to make money. I don't see that being a thing. Like, I don't see gaming being a part of Google unless Google has like a shift and that's really something that they're trying to do, which this type of thing echoes to me that it's not what they're trying to do. I don't see this being core to their business practices. But the underlying technology behind it is a different story entirely. Being able to stream content, like seamlessly, gaming is a big thing to have to stream, over long distances and to a plethora of different types of devices. So that technology is fundamental, and I think it still will matter. Actually, just kind of read a quick blurb of the blog post that they did post out. They did say, let's see if I can get it exactly. So they said the underlying technology platform that powers Stadia has been proven at scale and transcends gaming. So that already kind of talks to what I was saying there. We see clear opportunities to apply this technology across other parts of Google, like YouTube, Google Play, and our augmented reality efforts, as well as make it available to our industry partners, which aligns with where we see the future of gaming headed. We remain deeply committed to gaming, and we will continue to invest in new tools, technologies, and platforms to power the success of developers, industry partners, cloud customers, and creators. So let me take a quick step back, right? This technology is proven, right? It does work well. That was never the problem with Stadia. I want to make that very clear. It worked, right? Now you have PlayStation, right? PlayStation's in a situation where they are getting crushed by Microsoft as far as a technology standpoint of cloud gaming and all of those things, right? So now Google Stadia is no longer a competitor. They can easily be a partner. They can license out the technology, and now boom, PlayStation's basically paying to get the same level of fidelity to stream their games out. And, that's a viable option, right? I mean, Nintendo will never do this, but let's say that, Nintendo's another one who wants to go ahead and license that stuff out so that you can stream Mario or whatever it is, to your Switch or to whatever other platform that you want to stream it to efficiently. And, now it makes their platform a little bit more competitive to what Microsoft's doing. You can see that type of stuff being where Google might position themselves as opposed to being like, we are going to do gaming internally. It's more like we can license this shit out and make ourselves money that way and, find ways to have it spearhead our other business ambitions like advertising and so on and so forth. I think, and I mean, clearly that's kind of what this guy's alluding to here in the blog post, but that was my first thought when I heard this stuff going down anyways, was they're just going to transition this software to something else or this technology to something else. Imagine it gets to a point now too, right? So Google hasn't really dove into VR necessarily, but let's say it's something that they really do want to get into. They mentioned the augmented reality stuff, and we know like Google Cardboard was a thing, and I forget what the other thing they had, but they had like a VR headset. Daydream, I think it was called. You can see a place where, okay, why don't we just stream? And I've said this before. I think I said it from Xbox or Nintendo, something like that. But if you're streaming out VR content, right? Like that's something that Google can do pretty easily. There's money there because they can compete against Facebook with what they're doing with, or Meta, I should say, with what they're doing with Oculus. There are ways for Google to make money with this type of stuff that isn't directly like gaming, I guess, is really what I'm getting at the end of the day. But just a thought, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I hear that. For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
But Manny, what do you think about this, man? Get your 2 cents on this one.
Yeah. From the beginning, I think what was the bad idea was like the fact that they had like a pretty high price point for, something pretty new that you want to get into. Because this couldn't easily be either like a Xbox Game Pass service where you pay like $10 a month if you want to try it. So you're not putting a high price on it and feel like you're pretty much sacrificing a lot just to like test it out. And if you don't like it, then you're screwed pretty much. But not only that, and as Chris said, there's no really exclusive games that kind of like brings people into this platform. Because like PlayStation and Xbox, they have their exclusive games and their exclusive services, which, is why you'd want to go to, either or platform depending on, what you like. And with the advertising thing, I've seen, an interesting YouTube video that had a take on it where if they really wanted to, since Google owns YouTube per se, that they can like have a better advertisement system in the sense of you're watching like your favorite streamer play a certain game, like let's say Red Dead Redemption 2, and you let's say you never played it before and you want to try it out. And a good way they can advertise it is like, okay, you if you're interested in this game, click the link below where they show the game, what they're playing, and give you like a little trial. And if you like it, then you can pay through a service, and bada bing, bada boom, you're Gucci. Like, I feel like that would have been a perfect way of advertising games, especially since it's in the same company pretty much, and that can definitely expand your horizons and allow more people to get their hands on the service, can grow the service, and actually have use for it pretty much.
So, I want to have you continue your thoughts on this, but I just want to mention this. Exactly what you just mentioned is what they showed off at the reveal event for Stadia. It was like in the promise. This was the thing. Like, this is one of the things that was supposed to happen. It was like the idea that you could basically play a demo from watching your favorite streamer or watching your favorite content creator, make something, and you could be like, oh, dude, that game looks dope. Let me click this. I can pre-order it. I can, get a beta. I can get a demo, whatever. That was the promise. And it never came to fruition. And it's like another one of those things where, like, kind of dabbling into another conversation that you and I had in the past, Manny, but like, it's like if Google wanted to, they would do it. Like they make that joke. Or actually, no, I'm not even getting into that. But like, it's just one of those things, man. If they wanted to do it, they would do it. It's just that simple. They have the money, they have the resources, they have the technology. Why? Like, why not make this platform better? Come for Twitch's throat, all the way. Like you're doing the little things. You're paying content creators to come over from Twitch to YouTube. Go all the way. Make the fundamental changes that need to happen for people to really want to use your platform. Really want to do all those different things. Don't just make it I'm going to cut you a $3 million check. Like, make the platform worthwhile so that everybody wants to come on.
And lastly, I feel like there should have been like, I understand you want to go with the streaming only, model, but I feel like there should have been a way to be able to download your games, just because, if you're playing on your computer and whatever, I think it would be better to have it downloaded, and then maybe if you want to like switch to your phone or your TV, then stream it. But the fact that you couldn't download any games, and then you got games like Siege in there that you can't really take it fully advantage of because you're going to probably do with a bunch of latency and stuff like that. So it's another thing.
But yeah, that's the end of Stadia as we all somewhat expected. Went out with a whimper, not a bang. But like we said, though, probably not the last you're going to see from that technology. And I would not be surprised if by this time next year we get something about PlayStation and Google trying to work together to get that thing going. So
yeah,
mark it here, October 3rd. I said it here. All right, guys. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end it here. I mean, we'll keep an eye out on all those different types of things here. I mean, I'm hoping that Google has some other trick up its sleeve in the gaming space, even if it's not necessarily like this service, but more specifically around their YouTube efforts. Get that streaming situation cleared up a little bit better so that we do have a better alternative to Twitch. But yeah, leave it at that for now, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. We will check you guys out next week. Make sure to peep our social medias. I'm at XPackPod on Twitter, at Expansion Pack Podcast up on the TikToks, and that's with an X, guys. Don't forget that. And we'll check you guys out, next week, hopefully. Thanks for watching again. Peace.
Peace.
Yeah.